And in studio we have Nagib Shamsan. He's the Kenya Land Nagib Shamsan from Kenya Land Alliance is also the chairman Elisha Trust, and also I have John Paul. He coordinates. He's the coordinator.
The Lands Department.
Yes, he's the coordinator Lands Department. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Good.
Karibu sana kwenye show. Nagib was giving me a bit of history of the situation in Mombasa,
Yes.
the land situation in Mombasa. Nagib, I know when it comes to land, we want to look at historical land injustice. There's a lot: land ownership and documentation, eviction and informal settlements, and then government policy and legal frameworks, right? Could you, let's start with why do land issues continue to be a major challenge in Mombasa?
Thank you, asante sana.
Yes.
The land frustrations that we've had is a designed one.
Okay.
From the colonial period. If you look at the pre-independence agreements,
Yeah.
the Carter Commission and many other commissions, you would find the issue of land from slavery to squatterism at the coast. It is more of a designed character. Now, the issue here comes back. How does the history help us moving forward? Do you want to leave the past at the present or the future for us? So if you look at the frustration that we've been having in the land sector, one, political goodwill. It has never been there. Lack of budget, enough budget processes in terms of land implementation. We have the constitutions, we have the land policies, tuko na kila kitu, and you're good in that. But frustration is because there's no goodwill from leaders, from ourselves as communities. It's who against who. It's who against who will get who jina lako ni gani, wewe unatoka wapi. Alafu now the land question, if you look at it holistically, si tunasema ardhi haina shida ni uchoyo wa binadamu, roho za korosho. Everybody anataka mingi zaidi. So you see, that is what now people are discussing. Right now in Mombasa, the rural-urban migration, kwa sababu ya economical challenges, people are coming to town. Industries now are in town. Watu wanataka mahali ya kukaa, wanataka mahali ya kuishi. Hakuna, poor planning. Okay? Look, right now we see Mombasa County government has developed what we call Ardhi Fund. And they have set up some amount of money for trying to address the land issues. And they have set up only 50 million shillings. So you can see what is 50 million shillings on a city like this on land issues. The president has even said in more than 4 times in Mwakirunge, in Mtwapa, in Kwale, and then Kisauni that he has set up 1.5 billion shillings to square the issues of the coastal land issues. To us, we are not surprised. Since the independence, this funding has been there. It's called STF, Settlement Trust Fund. It has been there. It's not new. It's only for the first time it's being discussed publicly. It has been there. And to prove that, Shabarwala in Kombani ilinunuliwa na pesa STF. Mwakirunge scheme 2 na STF. Okay? Chakama in Malindi in STF. And many other ones. But you see, the adjudication process takes too long. You see what happened in Miritini just a week ago. 30 years adjudication process. Waliopewa ni wajukuu. So ukinipatia title deed ya babu yangu, umeniumiza roho. Sababu gani? I have to go to court to fanya mambo ya succession. So it becomes very expensive for me because of the delay, not goodwill, na hakuna chochote kimefanyika pale. And you look at again Miritini again, ukiangalia vizuri, most of the previous councillors, when I said who matters where, the guys who are there are more not vulnerable. So the question to us would come, tunaelekea wapi? Where are we heading to? Especially with this kind of frustrations. The land social movement that is going up in this country are talking about one thing. Either we do land reforms that is enshrined in the constitution and the policy, or we have land revolutions. When I talk about revolution, is the mindset. That's why you have now the squatterism in Coast Province is growing up. People wanachukua mashamba ya wenyewe, hawajali, wakisema kwamba the only thing I can do now nita survive hapa. Look at Kikambala right now.
Is there room for land revolution?
Yes. Social movements are very clear on that. When I talk about land revolution, it's because now we are questioning all the title deeds. Right now, under the Constitution, Article 46, we have to audit all the title deeds. That to me is a revolution, because now it is time that you audit a title deed. The title deed has to be clean as the process. Kama ulipoona previous regime na ilikuwa ina makosa, and you have seen this in other court cases, that is being revoked. In fact, right now we are talking about impeachment of title deeds. We want to impeach title deeds by checking at the processes. If you have a title deed that is questionable, we'll go and impeach it through the court process to make sure wananchi wanapata ardhi yao back.
If you're looking at historical land injustices, I want us to talk about, look at that and look at it in context of Mombasa. What does it mean when we say, because you've gone back to history and you say that it is a designed character.
Yes.
Right? Land issue in Mombasa is a designed character. It's like a system that was set up to fail. Right? Many locals, when they're talking about historical land injustice, what exactly does this mean in the context of Mombasa? And is this a situation that can be rectified with where we are now?
Yes, it can be rectified if there's a good political will and good budget. For example, you call an indigenous person a squatter. It's shame. We have 4 categories of squatter in the Mombasa. Tuna commercial squatters, professional squatters, now indigenous, whom we brand them as squatters, which is very wrong. Because when you look at, if I look at the Bible and the Quran very clearly, Adam na Hawa waliundwa na mchanga. So mchanga wa wapi? Na unapata kabila fulani wanafanana na sehemu ya kwao. Sawa? Ukienda mchinese anafanana na mchinese mwenzake. Aliundwa na mchanga wa Chinese. Mchanga wa coast ulimunda nani? So how do you call somebody a squatter here? It's a stereotype that has been brought here. Tenants at will, nyumba bila ardhi. It's a stereotype. The workful land, stereotype. So that's why I said the issues from squatterism, from slavery to squatterism. Kutoka kwa utumwa, sasa tumekuwa kwenye squatter. Now tumekuwa watumwa wa haki zetu za mashamba based on that. You said about possibilities.
Yeah.
Yes, there are possibilities. What we need is very clear implementation processes and goodwill. The parliamentarians have failed us. Look, Article 160, subsection 2 and 3 of the Land Act talks about regulations. That if that land belongs to absentee landlord, then the absentee landlord should be discussing with the people who are on the ground. There are no regulations about that. If the absentee landlord is absent, then the land that is iko pale wapewe wale masquatter. But lack of regulation for the last 12 years hapaja kuwepo. So the parliamentarians have failed us. The commission, National Lands Commission, has failed us. The minister is failing us. Because you cannot operate land acts. Sheria za ardhi na hakuna kanuni. So kanuni kiwa sawa, things will be sorted out. Because the truth is, everybody ana haki ya kuwa na makao mazuri.
Okay. Nafikiri ni Mzee Shamsan pale amezungumza kwa upana na marefu, lakini nitaanza na pale alipostaja 1.5.
Yes.
No. Nije Mombasa kwanza. Kilichotokea Miritini juzi. 400, I think Miriam tulizungumzia hapa. 400 title deeds. Shamsan anasema whatever happened is wrong. Ama inaweza kuwa ni right, lakini turudi tena kwa court to change from Barisa to Miriam ndio ikuwe ni yake. Where did we fail mpaka tukafika hapo mahali? Because unapewa ya wajukuu.
Okay.
Yes.
Ni vizuri kuelewa kwamba
any language.
It's important to understand that first in Mombasa County we have villages. If you look at our CDP, it states very clearly that we have got 907 villages.
Okay.
But look back in the previous 5 years, we had 657 villages. So how did we increase villages from 657 to 907? Where did they come from?
657
to 907.
To 907 in 5 years. I'm very critical with the numbers.
Yeah.
And this we need to ask the office of the National Government Administrative Offices, because the sources from them that the county relies upon. What does this mean in the land sector? It means there's been an increment of informal settlements and the land question is shooting up. So this context is what we need to discuss in relation to your question. The 490 titles issued the other day in a political manner, of course, because land is a political problem and needs political solutions. Now, having said that, is that now we have 72 informal settlements which are not regularized. That tunaita mitaa ya mabanda ambao bado hazijapewa hatimiliki in Mombasa County. Only speak tunazungumza kuhusu Mombasa County. So tukiangalia hayo tujiulize swali, juzi wamepeana hatimiliki 490 Miritini site and service scheme. Hii ni settlement scheme. Niposa Ndugetu Najib ambaye pia alikuwa commissioner wa wakfu, sisi kama amewaelezea, tunajiuliza je, ilifuata sheria? Kwa sababu wale ambao ni beneficiaries, wale ambao wamepata hizi hatimiliki ni kina nani?
Mmoja I can mention, mbunge wa huko amesema amekuwa squatter, sasa hivi amepata cheti.
Sawa. Kwa sababu katiba inasema kwa uko na haki ya kumiliki ardhi popote
Yes.
Lakini hatimiliki lazima iwe safi, process lazima ifuatwe. Hataki kuona zile makosa ilifanyika pale nyuma wakati wa Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta alipeana hatimiliki kisauni. Lakini hatimiliki zile huwezi zitumia kwenda na kwa bank kuchukua mkopo.
Lazima zichukue mkopo jamani.
Kwa mfano tutachukua mfano.
Okay.
Kuonyesha kuwa the title is not as clean as the process. So the question is, who is there to do public audit of these titles?
So John Paul, are you saying that the title deeds that were issued out in Miritini were not given out in a genuine manner and then did not follow due process?
My point is, we need to protect the interests of the people.
Yes.
Because it's about their dignity.
Okay.
The word dignity has been mentioned 22 times in the Constitution. We don't want a situation whereby they come complaining that I cannot develop my land because the title was issued to Najib, yet it was supposed to be issued to. Did they deal with conflict along the process? How many were issued on that particular day for 90 years? Were there any conflicts that were resolved during the process? We're not saying that it is it is bad to issue title deeds, but we are hoping that they are as clean as the process itself.
What should have been the due process?
For a settlement scheme to be in place.
Yeah.
Remember, that was 30 years ago when this process began. It's been, and for this process to be undertaken, we need to ascertain who was funding the process. The committee in place. Was the register in place so that we can ascertain, because you know the problem with settlement schemes. And then, during all that process, is this being done politically so that we only show that we've done our bit? So we also need to look at all these processes that are very clear, and then we need to see that in the website, that this is part of what we do as Mombasa County. Right? That means that as we spend 15 million on internet connectivity, we want to see information in the public domain that yes, this is what we are doing. Secondly, is that apart from Miritini, we saw the other day now that the next step is moving into Likoni, they move to Kisauni, and then they'll come to Charani, right?
Yeah.
But the question is, are we addressing the land problem? Titling is not an end to itself. This is only the first step in acquiring land. Because accessing land is only one step. Now the question is, what next after the issuance of titles at Miritini Site and Service Scheme? Because you know it's funded by the World Bank. That we need to know. But then we look at what about other areas? What is the next plan for other areas to ensure that there is continuity and there is the issue of dignity being addressed at the same time? Yes.
Okay.
Just a clarity.
Yeah.
Site and Service Scheme ni nini? Ni ilipimwa wakati nyumba zishajengwa.
Okay.
Si ati ilipimwa wakati ardhi ni empty. Sawa?
Site
and service. Ilipimwa wakati nyumba zishajengwa.
Hiyo ndo meaning ya site.
Yes. So document ya mwisho before allocation inaitwa allocation minutes. Those minutes zina miaka mingapi nyuma? Vile amezungumzia zile minutes nani alizisign. So ni vizuri kufanya auditing because right now katiba yetu inasema na policy inasema tuwe na joint titling. Tuache kuuza lakini joint titling inamaanisha bibi na bwana pia nao wana ardhi moja. Sababu ile mali ni ya familia. Was that considered? So right now in that auditing ya Miritini, how many women walipata? Yes. Ni haki ya kila mtu, ni wanaume wangapi walipata? Public utility ya Miritini ziko ngapi? Sawa? Access road ziko vipi? What is the planning? And as he said, mwisho wa kila kitu, nani alipata, nani akona issues? 30 years kuna family disputes. Mzee ameaga. How was it sorted out? So what we are saying is very clear. Title deeds zinafaa kupeanwa kwa uwazi na uwajibikaji. Unapompatia mbunge title deed na unamuita squatter. Squatter wa aina gani? Ana property zingine wapi? Did he deserve to get that land? hana property nyingine mahali pengine. Wangapi wana deserve kupata ile ardhi na hawakupata, amepewa mbunge. Je, huyu mbunge ana ardhi ngapi Kenya hii? What is the minimum and maximum of land holding with the individual?
Kuna mahali popote ambapo kwamba katiba inasema Miriam unafaa umiliki land mpaka kiasi fulani, eka 20 usipite hapo. Is there a place?
The policy is very clear. They were supposed to put maximum and minimum acreage. Who has failed? The parliamentarians have failed us, because ili iko wazi watu wanatakana wafanye for the last 12 years hawajafanya. So I'll ask you another question about this. Je, Miritini ilikuwa ni settlement ya watu maskini, those who deserve, vulnerable, ama ya matajiri?
That's a very good question. And I think that's a very good question. But I want to know, because John Paul has brought out interesting information here. You've talked about the land problem. Issuing out title deeds does not solve the land problem, right? Yes. With this case of Miritini, where the governor issued out title deeds, what problem do you have?
I don't have a problem
what
with
gap do you foresee?
You know, in school, we all there are those when it comes to taking examinations,
yes,
especially mathematics, you start with the easy ones. They can get those marks, but then the hard ones becomes the plan B.
Yeah.
But then the issue is, since coming to office, how much has he done for the people of Mombasa, apart from dealing with what was already there? These are low-lying fruits. The real questions in the land sector that he ought to be dealing with, number one, is the issue of mapping out these informal settlements. Because coming up with Ardhi Fund and then allocating resources without proper mapping, we are actually planning to fail. That is number one. Number two is that there are those existing schemes which are already in place. And for the last 10 years, we've seen since the tenure of Governor Joho and now Abdi Somad Sharif Nasir, is that they've been doing advisory plans. But from these advisory plans, what have they achieved? We're yet to see that happening in real sense. Whatever happened in Waitiki, that was the national government through the efforts of, in conjunction with the national government. That's the distribution of functions between national and county government. So that brings the first issue of the political goodwill is there, yes, but are you seeing it in action? There's a gap in there in the land sector. Secondly, the land department actually contributes about 34% of rates of revenue in Mombasa County. But what do we get in terms of allocation of the land sector? 4 to 5%. You want to tell me 4 to 5% will address the land issues in Mombasa County? It will not. So,
okay, yes. Repeat kidogo. Umesema the land rates, yes, zinachangia what the percentage?
Land department inachangia between 34-36% of the land rates in Mombasa.
Okay.
But and during allocation,
the land department gets how much?
4 to 5%.
Okay.
And the same issue is not even at the county, even at the national level.
Oh.
What is being collected, the revenue that is being collected on revenue, but what is given back. Ukitembea kwa ofisi za maserikali, ukienda kwa Ministry of Lands, utapata magari mabovu paka leo, mava Suzuki, mabovu. Ministry nyingine magari mazuri. So the goodwill, budget allocation to solve that land problem is the issue now again. Political goodwill. We will collect 34%, we pay 5%. Tells you what? Sababu kuna planning, kuna survey, kuna land rates and many other ones. Okay? Revenue on collection. But kinachopatiwa ni kidogo sana.
Nagib, you said 50 million was set aside, and you, I think it's Nagib or...
On Ardhi Fund, yes.
Yes. When you said 50 million set aside, and you also said that would not solve the issue.
Yes.
Sindio, I'm still on what happened in Miritini, because you've also mentioned this is going to happen in other areas. Sindio, what should have been done?
To prioritize the informal settlements. Why? Informal settlements, there was the plan of doing affordable housing. And the proceeds from affordable housing was supposed to ensure that informal settlements are regularized. Kuregularize ni kuzipatia hati miliki ile hali walionayo. which means number 1 tunaangalia sera ya kitaifa ya ardhi, elezea kuwa tutambue hizi settlements zote na watu wawe registered kujua ni wangapi. Pili, connection ya urban development na informal settlements ni proceeds kutoka kwa affordable housing inafaa kusaidia katika kuhakikisha kuwa hati miliki zimepeana katika informal settlements, of which unapeana community title, not individual titling. Ndio kuzuia ile hali ya kuuza. Ukienda Lamu, what are they doing currently? Lamu currently, all land zinakuwa registered as communal land, kwa avoid ile watu kuuza na kutouza baadaye.
Okay.
Kwa sababu kumekuwa na ile tabia ambayo si tabia nzuri sana ya watu kuuza tu ardhi na wako na hati miliki. So swali ni tunafanya nini Mombasa? Asemi kuwa kuna kazi inayofanyika, lakini nataka tuangalie swala la ardhi kwa mtazamo tofauti, kuwa tuipatie kipaumbele. Ya kwanza, tuweze kuwa na mikakati, mchakato ambao unaendelea mara kwa mara, na kuweza kusema kama ni Likoni, masuala ya Likoni ni haya ambayo yanajitokeza, tufanye nini kuyahusu. Kisha ya pili, baada ya kufanya mapping kote in the 6 sub counties, turudi katika masuala ya budgeting. Baada ya kutambua shida ni nini, tuangalie swala la budgeting, ipewe angalau bajeti ambayo itaweza sustain moving forward. So swali lako ni nini ingefanyika tofauti? Ni tunavyoendesha swala la ardhi tunafanya the opposite. It's like you want to review the CADP after it has been passed. So what needs to be done is the mapping exercise in relation to ardhi fund. Kwanza inafaa kufanyika kwa njia ambayo inaeleweka. Swali Miriam ni wangapi wanaelewa ardhi fund ni nini?
Very few people.
Ilipitishwa December, wakati watu wameenda holidays. MCAs wetu saizi ndo wa kwanza kulia, lale walipopitisha bungeni hawakujiuliza nini wanapitisha.
Walipasisha tarehe 24 December. Na walipasisha wakiwa beach ama walikuwa wapi holiday? 24th of December.
Kwa hivyo swala hili hatuwezi sema kwa ni governor peke yake. MCAs wetu they have to be held to account. Watuambie what did they pass? Because this is ardhi fund regulations, imekuwa pass as a finance document. But these regulations, hizi kanuni ziko wapi? Ask them, they have no idea. And what is supposed to be doing is to help probably negotiate between land owners na structure owners, kisha wasaidie katika hii process, sio kununua ardhi kamili. Lakini tukifanya vile unapata kuwa hiyo ardhi fund yenyewe regulations bado wangapo washaziona. Kwanza ardhi fund ni nini? Regulations ziko wapi? Kabla tutengee fedha na iko na board yake. So what are the members of this board? Wacha tutumie nafasi hii kuelimisha watu wetu waweze kujua kuwa tuko na nafasi bora, lakini hii nafasi tunaitumia kivipi? Kwa sababu kuna STF, the national government. So relation kati ya ardhi fund na STF ni vipi?
Okay, can we break it down?
Alafu there's one thing.
Yes.
Our history. Nani amepeana title deed kama governor ama mayor? Hakuna. It's only the president throughout our history. This is the first time a governor is giving title deed. But title deed zimetoka wapi? Zimetoka national.
Hata Lamu si ashapeana isatimama.
Ndio nasema zimetoka wapi?
Mara ya pili.
Zimetoka national government.
Yes.
Okay? Zimekuwa signed Ruaraka. Zimekuwa signed Ardhi House. Zikawa transported hapa. So what is the difference right now from the previous presidents who wanted the political mileage na kupatia governor wa Lamu na kupatia governor wa Mombasa? Okay? What is it that is different? One, before allocation of any title deeds to anybody, there's always 60 days of notification. Watu waweze kurise. Kuna spelling mistakes, kuna ID cards. Kama Salimu naweza maandika Zilimu, ikawa ni big issue kwa Lands Office. Kuna anything that's supposed to be at least watu wote waweze kuona. That thing is haikufanyika. So right now expect errors, spelling errors. Sababu it was a crash program. It was a haraka program. Okay? Those things will come up. That's why we said we need to do an auditing to rectify. It is good for the county because wamepanua the land rates issue, watapata pesa. Sababu walikuwa walipi land rates. Okay? Walikuwa walipi land rates.
Yote hii ni kumbe ni
ni biashara inafanyika, sawa? which is okay. Okay? And we like that because wana create on revenue ya Mombasa County. But can you tell us exactly how many women got this title list? How many of them are joint? Je, vulnerable people ni nani?
Hapa pa mahali pa joint hapa na hii jamani. Si joint. Si kipata amepata Miriam.
Angalia ndugu yangu Barisa. Maana joint faida yake ni nini?
Yes.
Leo bahati mbaya hati miliki yangu. Iwe jina ni langu. Bahati mbaya mimi ama bahati nzuri Mungu anichukue. Familia yangu nimeweka vipi? Waanze succession. sawa, waende waanze kulipa mawakili, waende kotini. Lakini ikiwa joint mimi na mke wangu, sawa, na wanangu pengine nimeweka ndani, leo nikiaga hawana haja kwenda process ndefu. Umewasaidia. That's the purpose of joint titling. So the policy is very clear. That has to be encouraged. Okay? And that's the settlement scheme processes. Imekuwa encouraged na inafanyika. Hii Miritini tunauliza, ni wanawake wangapi na mabwana zao waliweza kupewa? Mimi niliangalia zile picha, sioni mwanamke akipata jule jukwaa, sikuona.
Nagib, let me ask you. So the governor issued the title deeds in Miritini, and first you said, how are we sure that those in Miritini were deserving of those title deeds, right? A worthy question. But then I would ask you, where else should it have gone to?
Okay, now, you see, as vile amezungumza mavitongoji duni.
Yes.
Ambapo wanahitaji.
Yes.
Kumbuka, the word settlement scheme, it's purely meant for the vulnerable, for the poor people. Yeah. The rich buy. Okay? Mwakirunge settlement scheme 1 imekwama for the last 15 years. Survey imefanyika, government institution. Okay? Plot number 48 nyuma ya water imekwama. So Miritini, to us, they took it as a priority because there were interests there. And the interest was very clear when now the area MP was mentioned. We could see the interest. So that mention of that MP actually ilitupiga sisi na kofila uso. Why mention that? But imefanyika tayari. Sawa. So as a civil society, what we want to do, we want to learn from, nataka tusome pale mahali, tusiende na makosa mengine mahali pengine. And we as Kenya Land Alliance and Kieto, we are advocating so much on joint titling. So that is the only way you solve the disputes. Have you seen, guys, umeona watu wakienda kwenye mambo urathi, kwenye makoti vile wanavyosumbuana, wanatukanana, mashemegi, wajomba wanachukua ardhi ya mwanamke ameitwa ni mjane, amepewa majina ambayo hukutolewa mahari just because kwa ile mali kidogo. So tuwe mume kusave bwana mke wake, mweke mahali pazuri barisa. Mweke mwanangu mahali pazuri. Okay. Kusudi kesho ikiwa umeenda mbele ya haki asisumbuliwe na mashemegi na wajomba na mashangazi. Okay. Na hivyo ndo policy inazungumza.
So that's the policy inside hizo sheria za land.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing, Miriam, it's really important to note that the issue of succession, why is it important that there's need for joint titling? We're having a program in Kilifi of a killing of the elderly because of witchcraft.
Yeah.
And I can assure you for the last 2 months I've been on Lulu FM talking about the process of succession in Ganze and Ganda. Still there's killing of the elderly. Wazee wanauawa kwa sababu ya wanakisiwa kuwa ni wachawi. Lakini sababu hawajafanya masuala ya uradhi. Lakini unapata kuwa kinachotatiza zaidi ile system ambao wazee wanapoteza maisha yao. Kitambo walikuwa wanauawa, wanapigwa kwa kichwa nyuma karibu na mbali na nyumbani, wanaletwa karibu ni sehemu ya Rabai. Lakini sehemu ambayo inaongoza kwa sasa ni sehemu ya Ganze. Na system ambao wanatumia saa hizi wanachoma wazee ndani ya nyumba kupoteza ushahidi. System ya pili ambao wanatumia ni system ya kuwanyonga. Anauawa alafu ananyongwa ndani ya nyumba kupoteza tu ushahidi. Lakini swala la uradhi bado kwa hivyo tutalazimisha wazee wafanye succession ndio wagawe wanawao ardhi ilali watoto wanakuwa walezi. But then kuna tatizo kubwa kuhusu ardhi ambao inakuja pia Kilifi. Land buying companies. Trust me, whatever you see in the social media, those land buying companies wameharibu Kilifi. Hata alikuwa anaambia Governor Mungaro, you need to do something about this because that requires a political statement. Why allow watu kuja kufanya hiyo biashara ilhali watu wenyewe bado hawajamilikishwa? So ina encourage tabia ya kuuza ardhi na watu. Kwa hivyo it's a big problem. So Kilifi is the next area that people need to think of. What about Kilifi?
In fact, Miriam, I was in Uhuru Highway Nairobi kwa jam. Nikaletewa plot ninunue zile brochures ya Malindi. Kwa jam unapatiwa zile brochures kwa barabara. Unaambiwa so 3. Ukiangalia brochure ni Malindi. So you ask yourself, where are we heading to?
How do we solve this?
First, the government needs to stop such transactions because these transactions zinafanywa wapi? We had a case and it's still on until now. Someone bought a parcel of land at Ardhi House juu ya meza. Akalipa 3 million down payment najua mali shamba iko. Tena anakuja kwa chief, naomba unisaidie kunionyesha mali ardhi iko. Bado sasa niambie kwani chief mtu anakuambia unionyeshe ardhi amelipa lakini ajui mali ipo. How do you address that? It shows you that even the land sector, people have advanced on how they even address the land question in terms of acquiring land. There are different ways. Yes, you buy, but what are you buying? You can't buy hot air. Mtu ameenda kununua bahari, alikuja wakati wa kiangazi, aliporudi ni maji tupu. So you don't even know where the land is. So the issue is, what do we do as a country? Do you think it is time that we have this dialogue, intense dialogue, where we come with facts? Because land haitaki umbea.
Even don't even look at the larger picture. Don't even look at the country.
Yes.
We're in Mombasa right now.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the county, right? Like how do we start solving this? Because one would say, oh, he issued 490 title deeds. That's a solution, right? And we're having a different conversation here and saying due process was not followed. So then how do we solve the land issue?
Follow the law.
Here.
Follow the law. Settlement schemes are not for sale, for mortgage. Okay, it's very, kuna embargo very many years. In fact, it's supposed to be 12 years before you're supposed to dispose it off.
Yeah.
Even when you do advanced position in court, I remember Justice Regon used to put an embargo. So the issue here is who is selling and how are they selling. They are breaking the law.
Nagib, you started by saying we need good political goodwill,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Since, I would take it back to since independence. Even if you were to look at how, again, our politicians or our leaders amassed wealth, right? Since independence, it's been happening. Are we going to see anything different? Are we ever going to be in a space where we're saying we have good leaders who the intention is to help the citizen, the intention is for the people?
In a good way.
Unaona Miriam, hiyo swali lako ni nzuri sana. Wanasiasa na sisi tunaopiga kura. Are we getting the good leader sisi wenyewe?
Yeah.
Tatizo linaanza na sisi wenyewe. Ya pili, look at the ministers. The entire county, 47 counties. None of them is a professional in the land economics. They are political appointees. Look at the minister national. Right now we have Alice Wahome, at least. Alice Wahome now is ni wakili. The previous minister, Farida Korne, mwanahabari kama nyinyi, mambo ya ardhi naingiana wapi na yeye. So you see, the goodwill that we have, wanasema eri ufe macho kuliko kufa moyo. So sisi hatutakufa kuzungumza ukweli, and we still have hope. We still have hope kwamba one day this thing will turn around. Especially when you had a ruling recently at Nyali Beach, when the Supreme Court said title deed has to be clean as the process. So that is what inatujenga moyo wetu saizi. Kwamba as much as you're struggling, there will be a day this thing will be over. And when I say over, it is the rule of law. Policy, regulations zifuatilizwe. John Paul saizi hawezi kuuza shamba yake mpaka aende kwa Land Control Board consent na aende na bibi yake. Amruhusu. Twende kwa Land Control Boards. Kuna special Land Control Board ambayo unaotoa shilingi 10,000 officially na inapasishwa. Na kuna normal Land Control Board. How many consents zimepeanwa na wake na wanaume kusema hii hamba iuzwe sababu ya shida fulani na fulani. When Moi put it up this Land Control Board, it was typically to control the selling. Msiuze kila kitu. Uzeni kwa shida ama kwa kitu fulani. But sasa uuzaji umekuwa ni so much. Title deed has been commercialized. It's no longer security of tenure. Even in Meritin right now, I'll tell you, if you look at the allocation minutes, and if you go on the ground, I'm telling you, if you kama walitumia allocation minutes za zamani, sio wale wako pale saizi. Funga shati, remember funga shati? Yes. The first person anapatiwa title deed amekuja na Prado. So that is the question we're asking ourselves. Where are we heading in terms of the political representation on our leadership on land sector? Land committees za parliamentarians, huwezi kosa mahali ukokose wabunge wa coast wako ndani. Sawa? Saizi the chair wa Senate wa Land Committee ni Mohamed Faki no Mombasa. Previous regime we had 6 MPs from Coast Province katika Land Committee. But you see, political goodwill hakuna. So it is good to have good leaders ambao wana uzalendo ambao wanajua uchungu wa squatterism, wanajua uchungu wa landlessness, waende bunge na waende Senate.
John Paul.
Yes, madam.
For somebody who's because you mentioned due diligence as well, what would you tell the citizen now when it comes to doing your due diligence before purchasing a piece of land?
First, before buying any parcel of land,
we
offer free legal advice at Aketu, Kenya Land Alliance as organizations. We have the Coastland and State Actors. We do this for the benefit of the public. Don't buy just land anywhere. Please consult. We have a toll-free line where you can call and you get free advice. That's why we have offices in Mombasa and Kilifi, Lamu, and Tana River. But the key question is, how many of us consult? How many of us are under pressure because there's some money to be spent? So first, consult. There's an avenue. Secondly, is that whatever is happening now in Mombasa County, there are atrocities. I call them atrocities because the people are suffering. I know after this probably I'll be called to why am I sharing this in Miritini. Communities are doing good. They've won cases through court adverse possession, and they've decided to proceed with the planning on their own so that they can have leases. The land revolution aspect that it begins from community ownership. Now in Bangladesh, you know Bangladesh as one of the biggest informal settlements. Now we are in the process of planning. With the same county government, the people have decided to do it on their own, without the political class being involved. The third element is that still in Miritini, there's a lot of urbanization going on. And this conversation probably will have some other time. That there's been the SGR, there's been the MGR, and there's been the construction of the highway. Now, what is happening at 1-to-1, communities are there's a plan to resettle people of Dome in Miritini. Dome is a settlement in Miritini. But in the same settlement, the Kenyan government, in its wisdom, decided to give the Rwandese government 23.4 acres because someone took their land. That's our wallet transporters. I'll mention names because it's a fact. Now, to avoid international conflict, we gave 23.4 acres to the Rwandese government to avoid conflict. But there's no plan for our people. Now, these are questions that we need to ask ourselves. Where is the plan for our people in terms of resettlement? The resettlement guidelines are very clear if you look at the Land Act. But the political class in this country, especially in Mombasa, in the coastal region, they've been part of the land committees. But when Shakil Shabir introduced that bill to address the issue of evictions, they all ran away. They never attended parliament to be able to discuss that. So it shows you that we don't have genuine political class in this country. And that's why 2027, if you don't have a land agenda, please, we'll give you a very hard time. It's about my land, my vote.
In fact, we are planning to do a land charter and make them all the aspirants to sign.
Miriam,
I like that.
we will bring Honorable Fak here and one of them.
And two of us.
All of us.
We will discuss these issues plainly. Without any, the do no harm principle will apply. Because we want to have a discussion whereby we are able to discuss the land question jointly.
I think there's a lot to unpack when it comes to land issues. You've brought up a lot of things. You've talked about resettlement. You've talked about urbanization, community ownership. There's a lot that we can unpack, and it's just right that we continue having these conversations. Thank you so much.
It's really important to note that the road construction, from Digo Road to Marekani, do you know it's a loan? We sent a loan of 10.4 billion. We received 7.3 billion. But by 2055, Barisa and Miriam, you're supposed to pay that loan. Anyway, we'll discuss that later.
In studio, we have been speaking to John Paul. He's a coordinator lands department at Haki Yetu. And also we have Nagib Shamzan. He's a Kenya Land Alliance, from Kenya Lands Alliance. And also he's a chairman Elisha Trust. Thank you so much for making time. Thank you so much. And from us to you, we say adios. It's been a good Tuesday. We'll definitely bring the two back because there's a lot to unpack.
A lot. And we will bring the Senate, the chairperson lands committee.
Yes.
Senate.
All right.
CAC lands.
Swahili Pot FM 91.7.